How is your health, sir?
Very good, very good. How? Absolutely fine so far.
नहीं अच्छे ही होगा. So far so good.
So far so good, absolutely.
Yeah. All right. So
Bombay ka barish is becoming very bad, huh?
yes, sir. It's raining crazy, and Bombay is again showing a lot of thunder. सारे पेड़ वेड़ गिर रहे हैं.
Wait.
ये सब. Yeah, live, sir. So can I start, sir?
Yes, please, you can.
A very warm welcome to our show, Social Tables.
Thank you. Thank you,
Hello,
Kalpana.
everyone. Thank you, sir. Hello, everyone. I'm Kalpana Chowdhary, founder of Social Tables, managing trustee and chairperson of Jan Seva Foundation, Being the Change, and Lagnn.com. Lagnn.com is a matrimony portal for differently abled, cancer and acid attack survivors. Also co-chair of ASSOCHAM State Women Entrepreneur Development Council, JSDC. Member at FICCI Flow, CII, IW and Maharashtra Women Economic Forum and TEDx speaker. Before diving into the guest introduction, I would like to take a moment to introduce you with Social Tables. Social Tables is committed to sustainable development program with societal well-being and environmental consciousness. Every week, we bring out to you some of the brightest minds from the diverse sector to discuss over a few significant ongoing issues. In this week's speaker series, we have our guest, Mr. Girish Ramachandran, who is member board of director, Global Reporting Initiative President, Tata Consultancy Services, Asia Pacific, passionate about sustainable and technology. Girish has held multiple leadership positions globally in 25 years with TCS. As a president at TCS Asia Pacific, Girish has led the business to become APAC leading IT consultancy firm, employing 35,000 staff across 12 markets. Girish serves on the board of Global Reporting Initiative based in Amsterdam, a pioneer in global sustainable reporting. He is also a member of CII International Council and serves on the international board of Nijrode University in Netherlands. He is a recipient of France Benneke Kok Medal, from the Mayor of Amsterdam in recognition of his meritorious services to the city of Amsterdam. He has appointed business champions for the new Colombo plan by the Australian government and was recognized with the leading CEO award by Singapore Human Resources Institute in 2018. Girish Ji is a strong proponent of business philosophy and is committed to harnessing the power of technology and innovation to drive sustainable business outcomes. A very warm welcome to you, sir, on our today's speaker series.
Thank you, Kalpana.
It's our utmost pleasure to have you here with us today. So in today's discussion, we are going to discuss about the role of technology and sustainability in a post-COVID world. Let's begin. So what trends do you see play out globally in a post-COVID world?
First of all, Kalpana, I want to congratulate you.
Thank you.
You've been doing so much interesting work to the community and to the area of sustainability. I really want to commend you for whatever you've been doing so far and want you to continue to do this good work so that our country progresses.
Thank you so much.
Now, if you look at, we've all been conducting business, at least in the last few months, in a very unpredictable world. And as we go into the unpredictability, one thing is clear: governments, businesses, and individuals need to gear up for a period of uncertainty. And we don't know how long the uncertainty will last.
Absolutely.
And we all have to go for a new normal. Resilient and adaptability are the buzzwords that are much more crucial today, and rapid transformation is no longer an option, but it's only a necessity. Okay, so in that context, if you look at it, organizations which understand their purpose and value and are best guided and placed to come through this difficult times. Okay, so I want to highlight 3 trends that I foresee for the future. Okay, first and foremost, you would all see, we all going to a place where every country is going to look inwards, and self-reliance is going to be the key thing. So, which is every country is going to be developing sectors that are crucial for their self-sufficiency. Okay? For example, in India, we are talking about boosting our manufacturing. Then in Singapore and Malaysia, the focus is on food security. Australia is calibrating an approach towards exports without compromising on the core values of sustainability. So everybody is talking about that. Okay? And self-reliance will be one important thing that we will see. The second important thing I find is on digitization. Okay? And if I look at digitization, I feel that the future will hold for organizations where digital ubiquity will become the norm. Okay? And we have already seen, if you look at the last financial crisis, companies like Airbnb, Uber came out of those crises, where technology broke down socio-economic walls. And this particular phenomena will only keep continuing. Okay? And consumers like us will want to buy products which are much more socially responsible. Okay? And we will look for that. Okay? And transparency, trust, and loyalty will be the most critical to sustain. Okay? And if the third important thing which I see is on sustainability. Okay? A thing which both of us are very passionate about. Okay?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I think the pandemic has demonstrated that human society are capable of transforming themselves more or less overnight. So we all have overnight transformed ourselves. Okay? And I believe that the pandemic will fundamentally reshape the world as we know it. And technology will be at the center of it, enabling what I call smarter cities, smarter citizens, and smarter workplaces. And Kalpana, we have one opportunity for using this opportunity to change for ourselves and make the crisis an opportunity and put sustainability at the center of it. And I'm an optimist, and I hope that we will move towards that.
Very well said, sir. I do hope things turn out to be as fabulously as you have explained it. And it is definitely going to be difficult, but I'm sure people will manage. Well, COVID has tested business continuously. Plans of most enterprises. How can business reimagine themselves to create organizations that are considerably more adaptive and resilient?
So if you look at it until now, and even now, we are living through what everybody calls the fourth industrial revolution, where physical, digital, and biological, all of them meet together. Okay? And if you look at it, the velocity, scale, and scope of change has been transformational. Okay? And these changes are rapidly reshaping industries, okay, and disrupting business models. So I fundamentally believe that we will see a situation where if you want to see future companies, let's look at what has changed. Okay, one is the consumer is not only becoming sophisticated. All of us go and buy products, but we want to see whether can I buy a sustainable product? Is it coming closer from my home? Okay. Industry 4.0 is actually disrupting existing business models. And more companies are facing pressure from shareholders to demonstrate sustainability in their supply chains. And if you look at, very interesting thing is, if you look at businesses, the life expectancy of public companies once upon a time, which stood at 75 years in the US, is now at its lowest at 15 years, which means public companies are not able to survive beyond 15 years. And the 5 largest companies in the world today by market cap are not industrial giants like Exxon or GE, but technology companies like Amazon, Google, Apple, Microsoft. Okay? So I always tell that you need to not only keep your front view mirrors and rear view mirrors, but also you need to keep your side view mirrors as well on. Okay? And if you look at businesses that have been resilient, they've always had a purpose. So look at the Tata Group itself. We have survived over 150 years. And the reason why we have survived is because of a strong connection to the society. Okay. So only recently in the US, US was very famous for putting shareholder returns as the most important criteria. But the top 200 companies, CEOs met together and they said that that is no longer the most important thing. For us, the most important thing is delivering value to customers, investing in employees, dealing fairly with suppliers, supporting communities, and generating long-term value. So I believe that if you look at all of this, we are going to see, first of all, it is very important to see that for businesses to survive, it is very important to put purpose and resilience ahead and ensure that we are going to get technology to be the backbone for survival. If you are able to put both these things together, Kalpana, I think we will be able to see a much more holistic and much more purposeful organization, and consumers will want to buy products from them.
What an amazing piece of advice. You have definitely created a new hope for business, for all business holders. Wow. So what do you think? What can governments and business do to ensure digital inclusion of citizens and to build systems that are citizen-centric?
So I think, we have to there are few countries which have done this fairly well. Okay. So first and foremost, if I look at it, what we have seen is that all of us have been in technology company. Okay. I myself, I'm in a technology company. Okay? And what we found is that business continuity plans have been tested. So we all thought that if our Thane center goes down, we will move all people from Thane to Borivali. Okay?
Yes.
And if all our people in Borivali, if Borivali center is not accessible, then we will move from Thane and Borivali and move everybody to, let's say, Chennai. And we felt that if, for example, if India has a problem, or some problem happens in the country, we will move from India to Philippines or to Hungary. But nobody ever thought that we could have a situation where all countries could be affected at the same time. And that is what probably COVID has taught us. So COVID has taught us that we need to start relying more and more on technology to see how we can solve this particular problem. Okay. So the first and foremost I find is that there are organizations who have survived this particular crisis very well, have put together 4 C's. Okay. The first one is connectivity.
Yes.
So when I say connectivity, like you and I are using an iPad, or people like children are studying to an education through an iPad or whatever it is, it's very important to get the office to their iPads. That is the first and foremost thing. But more than iPad, more than the connectivity, we also need to collaborate. If in an office environment, 5 people are able to sit together and solve a problem. So you need to have collaboration mechanisms. Connectivity alone is not enough. You need to have collaboration mechanisms. Once you have that, the most important thing for a collaboration is that you need to have all your assets on the cloud. That is the third C. Okay. And the fourth C is that all our data has to be protected. We have to have a cyber security layer. Okay. So this is the 4 C's, which is connectivity, collaboration, cloud, as well as cyber security. Now, that is for businesses. Okay. But if you look at what governments need to build, there is a very strong linkage between the private sector and the government. Okay. And I think I want to take an example of India, which has built a very strong, what I call a digital spine. Okay. And the reason why we are able to do very well today, in spite of all the problems, is because of the digital spine this government has built.
Yes.
Okay. So there are 4 parts of the digital spine. Okay. First and foremost is what I call presence-less layer, okay, which is all of us today have a Aadhaar ID or an Aadhaar card, which gives a unique identity to you and me. Okay. So we all have a unique identity. Okay. The second one is what I call a paperless layer, which means my records move along with me. So like for example, a KYC. If I want to go and open a bank account tomorrow in Bangalore, where I'm not residing, I don't have to physically carry all my papers, right? It's all already there in the digitally. So the KYC can be done there. Okay, so that is what I call a digital records, which is paperless. The third one is what I call a cashless layer, which India is by far today the leader in the world today. Okay, which is a single interface to all the country's bank accounts. Like we have the UPI Pay, or we have Paytms, and we have all those Google Pay, all of them. It is effectively ensure that we can pay anybody, make a payment anybody without through our mobile phones. And the last one is what I call a consent layer, which is allowing the data to move freely and securely, more important, so that we can democratize the market for data. And if you look at some of the advantages of what this has brought in, we don't see this, okay? In a government to consumer business, okay? Because our government has built this, what I call the digital spine very well. Every telco today has been able to get something like more than 100 million customers onboarded with proper KYC, okay, and using a mobile phone, where the customer acquisition cost in India today is $1, as compared to anywhere in the world today, which is at $25. So we've been able to bring down the cost so significantly. Similarly, if the same digital layer can be used by farmers, we can get 250 million extra tons of food can be produced, which can bring in an additional income of almost $150 billion. And more importantly, today in the world, there are over 2 billion people who are financially excluded, so they don't have a bank account. And we can use this digital layer that the government has created to get an opportunity to get them on board. So India has done a phenomenal step in moving this forward. And I think we have an opportunity to take this and demonstrate it to the rest of the world as well.
Wow, with what you have said, I strongly feel that now government will also look into it and enhance this existing business as well. Wow. So how can citizens, especially youth, play that part in building resilient business and nation in a post-COVID world?
I think, look, citizens have a very unique responsibility. And I call citizens in this particular age DigiCents, which is digital citizens.
Wow.
Okay, because we are all DigiCents. Okay, we are all born with the digital in our hands. Okay, or the new generation is born with the digital in our hands. Okay, and for them, they don't have a problem to access to technology. They already have access to technology. Okay? And from a government point of view, it is very important to government to think that no citizen is left out in the process. So digitization is the way to get this forward. Okay? And we have to, every government has to start looking at digital inclusion by design rather than by exception. Okay. So our current experience with COVID shows that transition to these extraordinary circumstances is far from smooth, but we will have a little bit of struggle in terms of digital access, literacy and skill, but it can be managed very, very effectively. Okay? And the reason it can be done is that every country or organization, every country or organization is made of citizens like us, you and me. Okay? And if all of us become purpose-driven, motivated, resilient, and adaptable, and we all have to understand that for us to be successful, we have an opportunity to, very important, to unlearn. Okay? So we learn every day, but there are certain things that we need to also unlearn. And then certain things that we need to relearn. Okay? That will help us adopt to new technologies. And future is all going to be about technology innovation, automation, and AI. And the citizens will have to start adopting to that particular new normal. And we all will have to get retrained in the process. And it is you and my responsibility to ensure that we keep on retraining ourselves so that we are able to service the world and communities.
It's very true, sir. The youth is the next big thing, and with their contribution, our country can reach peaks. There's no one can ever imagine. Yes.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah. So, what can businesses, governments, and societies do to ensure that sustainability is at the core of the response to the pandemic?
So, I will give you some examples, Kalpana, what I see going to be happening in this particular world. And some places where technology can help, and some places where technology might not be able to help, and we citizens have to take stock of it. Okay. So first and foremost phenomena I want to talk about is urbanization.
Okay.
In a place like Bombay, everybody comes to, all the migrant workers come to Bombay.
Yes.
And then we all live in Bombay, and then after the job is done, we all probably go back to our hometown. Okay? If you look at in the world today, out of the 7 billion people, 4 billion people live in urbanized cities. And this 4 billion is likely to go to 5 billion by 2030. Which means we are going to see almost 60% of the world's population coming to cities like Bombay or Delhi or all these large cities. Okay. Now, I think probably you have to look for opportunities in every crisis. What probably this crisis has taught us is that we can still live in Goa in a beach and still work for Bombay, okay, using technology. So I'm very optimistic that today, using technology, we will be able to decongest cities and reduce urbanization. So that is my first point. Okay. So urbanization, I'm very, very hopeful that technology will be able to play a very important part in reducing urbanization. The second factor that I want to talk about is on education. Okay. Education, if you look at it, we are going to need another 1.5 million new teachers to start teaching in the next 10 years.
Globally or India?
No, globally. I'm talking about globally. Okay. And we are in, I don't know whether you know, but almost 10 million kids around the world are affected by this COVID. They are unable to go to school.
Yes.
And everybody says that, please bring technology, they'll be able to study, they will be able to do well. Okay? But let's look at the practicality. I live in Singapore. I know in Singapore itself, where when education went online, there were a lot of kids who did not have technology, who did not have laptops. And if you go down to India, today, if you look at most parts of rural India, there is only one smartphone for every household. And one smartphone is shared by 4 or 5 people in the household.
Yes.
So a kid cannot say that I need my smartphone for my entire school hours. The father or mother will also need it. So that is one place where, and a lot of people in rural India still go to schools because they get nutritious food there.
Yes.
And not only in India, but even in the US. A lot of kids go because they get nutritious food. We have a very strong possibility that if they don't go to school, they will start going to work, which is going to be very detrimental to the whole society at large. Okay? So that is one place where I feel that technology might not be able to help. And school kids have to learn together. Okay? It is not important that technology can help to a certain extent, but all of us are happy with the system that we have acquired in India. And the reason is because we learned a lot more from our classmates than from our teachers. I mean, there is, of course, we learn a lot from our teachers, but I want to say this because there is a lot of collaboration that happens between classmates. Okay. The third thing which I want, so that is why I feel technology can only partially help. Technology cannot help fully in that particular case. So I talked about urbanization where technology can help. Now I talked about education. Okay.
Yes.
The third thing which I want to talk about is food and food security.
Okay.
We say that every day, almost 1 billion people in the world go without food.
Yes.
And out of the 7 billion people which are there in the world today, we make enough food for 10 billion people. It is not that there is no dearth of food in the society. There is enough food all of us make for the society. It is just that we are unable to get them from what I call farm to fork. So from the farm to the fork, by the time it comes to your table, dinner table, food is lost. And there is a lot of loss which happens during that particular process. And if we are able to get technology embedded, so we are working with an Australian company today, where we put in strawberries, we ensure that we put motion sensors, which picks the humidity, the freshness of the strawberries, and it keeps ensuring that the strawberry is fresh right from the time it's taken from a farm to the time it is brought to your table.
Wow.
So, and using technology, we are able to solve that particular problem, which means we are able to reduce so much of wastage of strawberries. And if you're able to think about each of the things that we do, technology can do a lot of things in enabling food and food security. The fourth one, which I want to talk about, is a concept about what I call aging. If you look at people who are 60 and above in the world, we have around 1 billion people in the world today. Out of the 7 billion people, we have almost 1 billion people who are over 60. And by 2050, that number is going to go to 2 billion. So which means we are going to have, out of the 7 billion people, we are going to have 2 billion people who are aged. And when you have aged people and they are not going to work, we have to ensure that we provide them security in their own homes. Okay. So we have done a very interesting work with Singapore Management University here, where we put motion sensors in people's home. And we have created an environment where nurses, doctors are able to take care of them from their own using these sensors. So technology can take a big part in helping them through this particular process. So for example, if a person suddenly falls sick, okay, or if a person is unable to walk, suddenly the sensor is able to detect and tell the doctor close by that this particular person is sick, please go and attend to him.
Is this a TCS initiative?
It's a TCS initiative along with the Singapore Management University.
Wonderful.
Okay. So I think that's again another very important place by which we can take care of this. Okay. The fifth thing which I want to talk about is healthcare. What probably COVID has taught us is that healthcare needs to be completely reimagined. I was reading this morning that even in a place like Florida, which is considered to be upmarket, they don't even have ICU beds because people were probably not falling sick there. They were not going to ICUs. Okay. So what probably we need to start looking at is how can we completely reimagine healthcare. Okay? We have done that for cancer treatment in India, TCS. So we have, the Tata Memorial Hospital, which are one of the most famous things. We have something called a digital nerve center in India, which innovates healthcare delivery by using a single number. So if I was living in a place in Bihar, and if I suddenly, I think that there might be a cancer for me, what do you normally do?
God forbid, never say that.
I know. No, I'm saying for any patient, okay? What do they do? They immediately try to come to Bombay or Calcutta because that is where you have hospitals like Tata Memorial or others, and you want to come and go to the best doctors. And then what you do, you come and wait in the hospital outside because you don't have appointment. And you've seen people outside Parel. You've seen people waiting. Okay, there are people who are even tenting outside, who have tents outside and waiting for a doctor appointment. Okay. What technology can do is we can completely reimagine this. If I had a problem, I could probably call up a number. That number reaches me in the TCS Digital Nerve Center in Trivandrum. What we tell them is that please go and do these tests in your clinic next to your home in Bihar. The person does the test, and all the test reports come to us digitally. And once we get the digital reports, we know whether whether the particular person has cancer at all, or whether the person is only doesn't have any symptoms. And if the person has symptoms, then we say that your appointment with this particular doctor in this regional cancer center or in this particular Tata Memorial Hospital is fixed for next Tuesday, 11 o'clock.
Wow.
So you're just making your experience of the patient so smooth that using technology, the patient is only able to come next Tuesday morning at 9 o'clock in the morning, and then he goes and meets the patient. Just imagine how technology has smoothened the whole process. So this is one thing where, every time we try to see whether we can reimagine a particular process, we can do this reimagination of our own healthcare significantly. The last one, which I want to talk about, is climate change. And it's very, very real. For example, a 1 degree rise in temperature can lead to productivity losses of almost 5%. Okay, so if you look at today, most organizations are trying to see how they can reduce their carbon footprint. And how do you do that in a factory? It is very tough to go and open up the factory and say, I can change this parameter, I will reduce this temperature, I will reduce this. It's very tough because it's a physical infrastructure. Okay. But what if I did that, if I take the physical infrastructure of a factory and make it digital? And in the digital side, I completely try to do what I can. If I can change the parameters in the digital infrastructure, so I can change the input of cold. I can change the. If I reduce the temperature, what will be the effect? If I increase, let's say, hydration or something like that, what will be the effect? I can get all of that thing done on a digital infrastructure, which means physically I'm not doing it, but on a computer like this, I'm able to do it, and then I know what the result is going to be. If I'm able to find out that my result is going to be better and my carbon footprint is going to be better, then I will be able to reduce the carbon footprint for each and every process. This is what we call a digital twin. And today, most large companies in the world use digital twin to help them through the carbon footprint map monitoring. So I think, I'm very hopeful. I talked to you about 6 technology trends, 6 places. So we talked about urbanization. We talked about education. We talked about food security. We talked about aging. We talked about healthcare, and we talked about climate and climate change. And I think in each of these places, technology can help partially or it can help fully in reimagining the future for all of us with sustainability at its forefront.
Wonderful. This was indeed a very informative, very insightful, and this is something which all of us have to know and understand how technology can work. And you rightly said, I mean, technology, now I had to get some tests done. And it was so easy for me to, just connect with doctor. I didn't have to travel. I didn't have to wait in the queues. I didn't have to. So there's a lot of, again, a lot of people traveling also gets this environmental pollution and stuff like that. So we can change. But yes, then it does affect the travel agencies and the hotel industry. So, but yes, it's a both the side thing. Well, so how do you think, how can a technology help balance economic imperatives with sustainable consideration in post-COVID world?
I think, my feeling is that it is time for us to bridge what I call the digital divide. Okay. And for doing that, we need to arm everybody with really the skills and the tools that they need to thrive. Okay. This is where technology enabled community engagement platforms are key. And this is where I talked about to enable what I call DigiSense. Okay. So DigiSense platform is all about citizen outreach and community engagement of citizens. Okay. So I think technology is enabling disruptive solutions for the most complex societal and the environment problems. If we really get it right, we can benefit the 7 billion humans who live in this world. And if we get it wrong, the world would be divided, not only economically, but socially as well. Yeah. So this economic human crisis offers a very unique opportunity to accelerate transformation towards what I call a more sustained, digitized, and a transparent new era of prosperity. And for that, we have to, what probably COVID has taught us is that transformations cannot happen only in a vacuum. It requires each of us, which is companies, governments, and citizens, to take ownership of our own future. If we take ownership of our own future, then we can transform ourselves much more successfully.
Wonderful. As I mentioned earlier, I'm sure everybody's looking forward to smart manufacturing and industries. Well, so how will the SDGs be achieved? Also, has there been some progress in achieving the SDGs? Where have there been a setback?
No, I think, we are in the 10th year of SDGs.
Yes.
We have another 10 more years to go. And if you look at each of the 17 goals, in a lot of places, Kalpana, we have reached where we want to reach. Okay. In a lot of places, there is still a lot of work to be done.
True.
Okay. No, so, and we can't always say that it's a government's problem. We as citizens have to start taking ownership of each of the things that we want to do. So, for example, I'll tell you, if you look at our own carbon footprint, you and me, okay, as individuals, okay, most of our carbon footprint is spent only on a few things. One is on the food that we eat. Whether I'm able to buy food from my next door guy who's making food are there, or whether I want to buy an imported food from the US. Okay, so food is a very important thing. Okay? If you are able to buy local produce, that's a very important way by which you can reduce your carbon footprint. The second important thing is the transportation. Every time we think, we can reimagine and we can think, do we need to take our own cars? Or is there a way by which I can probably use an Uber so that multiple people can travel? The third thing is all about utilities. What kind of air conditioning or what kind of temperature you set in your home? Okay, do we need to set that up, or is there a way by which we can use temperature and LEDs and all other things much more? It's not only for temperature, but it's also for water. It's also for everything. Okay? Whether we can try to reduce. For example, even you won't believe, even if you are able to take a bath every day using a bucket of water instead of through a shower,
yes,
we'll be able to save at least 10 to 15 liters per day.
Yeah.
Okay. And the last one is about each of the goods, white goods that you have in your home.
Okay.
If you have a white good, whether it's a TV, whether it's a fridge, whether it's a vacuum cleaner, washing machine, if you have it as a 4-star or 5-star rated, it means you are reducing your carbon footprint significantly.
Yes.
So I think we should of course have governments and businesses play their part, but all of us have to play our part as well. And for ensuring that we make movement on the SDGs, these 3-4 things, if we are able to do for food, for transport, for our own utilities, what we do, whether it's water or electricity, and the last one is what kind of white goods that we have. If we are able to get these 4 things under control, we will reduce our carbon footprint significantly, and we'll be able to make movement on SDGs personally on our own SDG targets as well.
Very well said, sir. With this pandemic, I sincerely hope that the goals set are met and implemented for good. Well, thank you so much, sir, for your wonderful inputs. We have learned a lot from you in just few minutes. Your noble thoughts and initiatives are just so inspiring. Now, moving on to a little fun part of it, quick rapid fire. So who inspires you the most?
I get inspired by multiple people in my career, in my whole. My father has inspired me for a couple of things. My father has inspired me for being frugal and for being very time conscious. My mother has inspired me to help me be hardworking and to build relationships. Similarly, I got a very big personal inspiration from Mahatma Gandhi ji, who taught all of us what a simple concept like non-violence can mean.
Hmm.
So my thing has all been compartmentalized. I don't look up to only one individual. I look to multiple people and see what I can pick from them.
Wonderful. And what's the greatest risk you have ever taken?
My greatest risk, I would say, has been that when I did not get I wanted to go to the US very badly.
Okay.
After my engineering. Okay. And
Okay.
I
Your
got
engineering was done where?
Sorry?
Where did you do your engineering?
I did my engineering from a college called PSG Tech in Coimbatore.
Okay. India.
Then after that, I wanted to go to the US. And everybody in my class was going to the US, so I also wanted to go there. I got my admissions, but I didn't have the money to pay for it. Okay. And at that time, I felt very bad. It was 1991 when our currency was devalued by the late Prime Minister. The Prime Minister at that time, Dr. Manmohan Singh. Okay. And every day, my money balance in the bank kept coming down. So I said that I'm going to ditch my US plans. I said I don't want to go there for studies, and I will now start building a career in India itself.
Okay.
That was the biggest risk I took, and I went and did my MBA from Bajaj. But I felt at that particular time I thought I was taking a big risk by not going to the US. But today I feel I did the right thing.
See, so that's why they say every adversity is another opportunity.
Absolutely, I agree.
Yeah. So, what is the most memorable moment of your life?
I think we had our son born, and I would think that would be the most memorable thing that we've had in our life.
Yeah, I'm sure every parent does feel that feeling. Well, so if you could change one thing about yourself, what would it be? Or about your life, or anything? It could be anything.
No, if there is one thing which probably COVID has taught me, is that it has taught me to be a lot more patient. Okay. If I were to look at the first 10, 15 years of my career, I was not patient. I wanted to do things very, very quickly. And there is one thing which COVID has taught is that it's actually getting a lot more patience.
Relax.
Exactly. And that is probably the one thing. If there is one thing that I want to change, I would have changed that.
But good. Now you have changed it.
Correct.
Wonderful. So COVID have actually been blessing in disguise to a lot of us. And thank God. Otherwise, you wouldn't have been connected.
No, I agree. And the connections like this, you and I are speaking. And I think now suddenly digitally we are able to connect.
Absolutely. And because, I mean, when I say thank God, I didn't mean COVID. I just meant that thank God we are utilizing it in a right way.
Correct.
And yeah, and secondly, it is very important that this mindset changes, because earlier, if we had to get this mindset, it wouldn't have been possible. Nobody would have accepted it also, because though we have been in that Skype world, nobody wanted to get into that. But now everybody's there everywhere.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, so digitalization is, I think, now the important thing which everybody has to, and the coding also. For the businesses. Well, so what's your favorite hobby?
I do run a lot.
Oh.
I do run on an average at least 50 kilometers a week.
Wow, that's wonderful.
So, and I also read a lot of books.
Wonderful. And place where you love being the most?
The place I love to be in my hometown, which is in Kerala. Would love God's own country. Love to be there with my parents.
Oh, I'm sure. And a very last question. If you were to be the Prime Minister of India for a day, what is the first thing you would change? Or you would want to do, or you aspire to do, yeah?
I think, Kalpana, the thing is that the future is in the hands of the children. And if there is one thing that we all need to see change, is the access, first of all, to give them more access. Technology, education, they are the future, and to teach them everything. Okay? So if there is one thing that we all need to do is to spend more time with youngsters.
Inclusion.
Inclusion, absolutely.
Well, so any message for our platform Social Tables?
My only message is that you are doing a wonderful job. Please continue with that. But more importantly, we have a very unique opportunity to change our COVID. Let us not put the same old thing of saying that we will carbonize and we will continue to take our big holidays every few months, or we will continue to use our car, everything like that. We have an opportunity to rethink and reduce our carbon footprint. Let us put sustainability considerations upfront, and let us all remember that, like what they say, we are just borrowing this earth from our children. We have not inherited from our parents.
True. Absolutely. Very well said. What are we going to leave back to our future? Right. Yeah, well, wow, that was an amazing response, and that was very quick. Before we conclude, a few words of wisdom or an advice to our audience.
My only advice to the audience is that let us use this opportunity to change ourselves, and let us be the change ourselves. Let us not wait for governments or businesses to say that they are going to change and they are going to help us. Let us first, like Mahatma Gandhi said, be the change. Let us all change ourselves. Let us first ensure that we take the lead, and let others follow you and say that, wow, what a role model this particular person is.
True. I totally believe in this. Be the change what you want to see. Yeah. Well, that's it for today. Thank you so much. Let me take an opportunity to give you a vote of thanks. It's a great honor and privilege to propose a vote of thanks to Mr. Girishji, who, despite his busy schedule, has found time to grace this special interaction. We are extremely grateful to you for sharing your words of encouragement and giving us valuable inputs. Your eminent presence has indeed made this interaction a memorable one, and we unite to thank you from bottom of our heart for your kindness, interest, and support. We wish you all the very best in your endeavors. Stay safe.
Thank you, Kalpana.
Thank you, sir.